Hello everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today for another Glaminatrix palette review. This is a brand new palette that's coming out this weekend. As of right now, they haven't been showing it on the social, so I've been very sort of secretive about it. A lot of people know about the Pooh palette. This is not it. Now, what is the Pooh palette, you're wondering? They did show, like, as a April Fool's joke, this like Pooh inspired palette with like browns and like sloppy greens. Some people actually wanted that to be made into a thing, so they're taking pre-orders of that soon, I believe, but that is not this. So there's no Pooh palette going on my eyes today anyway. So I was sort of expecting that to be their next release, not this. What is this? Well, this is the Timeless Tones palette. You know me, I love a twist on nude palettes, which is why I really like Glaminatrix as well, because they've done some really good ones in the past year or two. I wasn't expecting this. This is more cool toned. It's more what I'd imagine to be, not elegant tones, that's the wrong term, but when I talk about like grungy greens and browns, this is the opposite. This is sort of what I would consider to be cooler toned, more sort of like country club vibes, but with like the glittery fun Glaminatrix twist. So this is the palette here. If you're into cool tones, this is for you. Cool tone browns, which are very cool tone brown. This even has like this mauvey kind of pinky shimmer to it. You've got this beautiful shiny sort of grey. It's not really like, it's silvery, but I think it's more grey than like silver. You've got this beautiful green row, which matches my jumper perfectly. Maybe I wear that today. I don't know. What I would consider to be like almost like a navy inspired row, slate grey color here. You've got your traditional sort of like denim blue and then a navy. This, whatever this is, and then this is more of your traditional, I don't want to say stage makeup, but you've got like the bone, not quite white, but bone. You've got this really classic cool toned crease color, but contour colored is what I'll call it. And then you've got the blacks. So this is very different. So I'm just going to flag that this is not my color story. Cool shades, I do like working with other shades, but predominantly cool toned eyeshadows can make me look a little bit hollow and dead. So this is a bit of a challenge for me this week. I want to try to use all these shades, at least do a look using each row. I'm going to swatch everything for you. I'm going to show you close-ups. I'm going to do all that jazz. But even though this is not necessarily my perfect color story, what I love about this is I know it's other people's perfect color story. So hooray, it's not all about me. But also I do love mixing cooler tones with warmer tones, because I actually ultimately am quite a neutral toned person. So having the ability to reach for these shades to pair with some of the warmer palettes they brought out recently, I think is great, and I love this direction. I think it's really fun. But before I start delving into swatching the palette, I do want to mention that they've also brought out a little brush kit set thing. I don't know the full details. I will have details in the description box or links to their website. Again, this is coming out this weekend. But there's a bunch of brushes in here. They do come wrapped in plastic. I'm going to take them all out so I can show you. So this is a set of 8 brushes. They're all eyeshadow brushes, which makes sense because, you know, they are known mainly for their eyeshadow palettes. These feel super soft. These are synthetic because they are a vegan, cruelty-free indie brand. These feel really lovely though, very high quality. And I love the like design. It's got this sort of pinched in bit, so you can sort of like, I don't know, it's just comfortable to hold. It just looks a little bit different. The wooden handles are really lovely. They've got the rose gold ferrules. So I think they've done some nice stuff here. I also like that they've gone this sort of gray color of brush. I do love a white brush, but at the same time, I feel like they have very pigmented eyeshadows. Can be hard to completely clean out all the color, like color, really pigmented eyeshadows can sometimes stain light colors, so it makes sense that they've gone with this sort of gray. I think these are beautiful. I'm going to use these today in my look, and I'm going to be using them throughout the week so I can tell you what I think about this set as well as the palette overall. Here's just a close-up of the brushes, and we're going from E01 all the way through to E08, so that implies that to me they might be bringing out what, like face versions or something, because these are obviously the eye versions. So you have everything from sort of different shades, different sizes of fluffy brushes, different densities. Like this is quite dense. This is a lot looser, so it'll give you just a softer blend. You've got an angle brush, you've got a pencil brush, you've got some packing brushes of various sizes. So you do have quite a lot here. You can also see the detail here. So it's got these nice little pinched in bits. But I want to also mention these little spiky bits at the end. I kind of dig this. This detail's kind of cool. I think it's more aesthetic, but I also can imagine myself using this for like digging out like a cream product to put on a palette. I don't know. The way I'm going to swatch this one today is in color stories. So I'm going to start here, go across, start there, go across. So you can see how the color stories sort of work all together. But it is worth noting that there is 20 shades in this palette, like past palettes or more recent palettes, but their last palette sort of went, I think it was like shimmer, matte. This one, you can see you've got the color stories in the rows, but the columns have different finishes. So the 3 middle columns are all matte. You go light, middle, deep, which means you can use this also as a liner. And then we've got this, looks like sort of sparkly translucent toppers. All right, top row, we've got this very iridescent white that's got that pink shimmer in it. Pretty. Does it work with these? Possibly. Let's see. Whoa, so that is a lot more pink in my angle than what you're seeing. But these sort of pink shifty ones, I think you've probably seen them. You're probably aware of them. They look a lot more intense in person. What I like about this one is it's quite smooth. So it doesn't seem like chunky sparkles. This one just looks like it can be this smooth sort of enhancing topper. We've got this beautiful, oh, this is such a good color. I love these colors for like contouring the eye. So it's got a little bit of rosiness to it. Come on, focus. It's like my skin tone, but a bit deeper. So it's really perfect for like lower lash line, blending something out. I think it's gorgeous. We've got this one here. This one's called Sophisticated. I actually should tell you the name, shouldn't I? This one's sort of gripping to my skin quite a lot. So it has a lot of pigment to it, but they're just very soft and they're sort of gripping to my skin. That's fine. Whoa, that's insane. Tasteful is the next one. This is a lot of more of a darker sort of like cocoa brown. These we probably have seen quite a few like this from Glaminatrix, but I feel like it's a very practical color, so it makes sense being in here. And then this is this beautiful, oh, that's going to be my new favorite. See what I mean? That it looks almost gray rather than silver, but when it catches a light, it catches really metallic silver. That is a stunner. All right, change of plans. I have decided, since I've swatched this one, I'm going to compare it to the other nude down below, because I feel like we can see how this compares to some of the shades up here, and then I'll do the green and blue row together on one arm. Okay, so jump down to the bottom. This is Delicate. This is a shimmery sort of iridescent white, so it's got no base color. I love, see, no base color, but it's got this beautiful twinkle to it. Now what I love about that, and I'll show you somewhere else, is you can put it on quite lightly and it gives you this sort of almost wet look effect, which I think is stunning. So with that sort of really fluffy, looser brush, the one that's not so densely packed, you could pick up this color, buff it on your eye to get this wet look, or even on the tops of your cheekbone. So I find that these shades can be quite versatile. Very cool tone though, like very, very quite white, but that's okay. We do have this bone color, which again, I think works really well with this color story. I feel like sometimes you need something that for me is like a setting color. It might be a blending out color, it might be slightly lightening, build it up slightly. So that one's called Refined. Then we have Vogue, which is similar to this, but a bit more brown. Still got those rosy tones to it, but this is more of a rosy caramel. This is more like a rosy mauve. Both beautiful, both great types of shades. Chic is black, and what a good name for that, because black can be quite chic. Super pigmented, super matte, super beautiful. Shimmery black is called Grace. You can see it has like that silver twinkle in it, which is really beautiful. It does feel a bit more grippy, I suppose. Bit more like, I don't know, moist compared to some of these other ones, but that's beautiful. So if you're a cool tone lover, that is going to be your perfect everyday color story. Here we go. Green column. Look at that. Oh, so nice. So, whoa. Okay, that looks, well, I'm going to have to do a different angle for this particular swatch arm, because to me that looks really, really green. To you it looks yellowish. I'm seeing like grass green. It's stunning. We've got like this sort of dusty mint, which is great because I know they've brought out pastels in past palettes. This is like pastel mixed with grey, which is kind of cool. It's just this sort of more dusty version, which I really like. This is such a good colour. Wow, that's like, again, this sort of muted turquoise. This I'd fuck with. I'd fuck with this one. This is so, I'm like, I don't really like cool tones. Yet here I am going, put that on my face, it matches my jumper. It is stunning. Sorry for the swears, but I was excited. Okay, we've got this beautiful, deep, cool tone green. So we've got, it's like British racing green. Again, that sort of classy, regal thing going on. And then this, what are you, my friend? This is not green. Oh, okay, I lie. Looking down, it looks green from my angle. It's got that sort of burgundy base, but it looks purpley blue. Oh, so cool, so cool. This is fun. I'm excited. All right, Blue Row, we've got this. Whoa. Okay, you can't see it. I will show you from a different angle soon. This looks, again, no base color. Yippee. Means it's more versatile in my opinion, but it catches the light. I just see purple. I'm not even telling you names. Oh, let's go back and do that in a sec. I'll go through them. I'm too excited. This grey, I'm kind of scared how much that matches my skin. That's probably my perfect sort of carving out shadow look. That's probably going to be a really good under eye because I like to put a bit of shadow, like mimic a shadow there. Then we've got this denim blue, which is a stunning colour. I don't think they've done a denim blue, have they? This is a great colour. Okay. Again, I'm taking it back. I didn't think this palette was going to be necessarily my jam, but I'm actually really, really excited to use some of these colours. This colour is one of my favourite colours on the eye, like as a liner, or even just a like lower lash line. Beautiful. Navy. Bam. Oh, and it's got the navy with a bit of like true navy to it, where it looks like ink. That colour is beautiful. And then this last one, which is actually called Exquisite. Oh, it's very similar, not very similar. To me, it gives a very interesting shift like this one. So I'm seeing, again, that sort of blurple color. This is more violet, but this has like a gray sort of shimmer base to it. So on the front angle, it looks quite gray green, but the intensity on the side, just you wait. All right, on my eye today, I have put some primer on. It's just a Kaleidos primer, so that's been on for a little while now. Okay, I was going to go green as the look to match my jumper, but then I realized whenever I do these types of videos, I always do a green look first. So I'm actually going to go the Blue Row, which is good because I'm really excited about those sort of color shifty shades. So you can see how it looks kind of purpley. I don't know. Let's see if we can see it on the eye. But it also means that I can get into this grey, which I'm excited for. I might set my base a little bit with this. So I'm not going to exclusively go Blue Row. It's going to be a blue look, but I am going to just delve into some of the other colours. These brushes are beautiful. That's like, it feels, okay, this feels to me, the fibers feel very similar to an Hourglass foundation brush that I have that feels really, really high quality. This gives me that vibe, but in an eyeshadow brush. It's stunning. Okay, I'm going to start with some of this grey because I just want to see how it looks to carve out my crease because I'm not a big contoury person, but I do love a bit of definition in the crease, and I also really love some grey on the lower lash line because I just find that I just like to do it for my eye shape. I don't know why. So this is not a super bold grey, which is good because you can sort of build it up. These brushes, Glaminatrix, these brushes are so good. Taking a little bit more of that grey and just running it under my eye so I can show you what I talk about when I want to create a bit of shadow under there. I just like that look. I think it suits me, so I'm going to do it. This grey, this is such a versatile grey. So again, even if I was going for like a gold look, this grey would just frame it so beautifully. Denim blue, because this is stunning. I'm just going to put this on like the outer, oh, look at that. outer third of my eye, just sort of tapping it on. I'm not even telling you the names. This is the E03 brush. I think the E01 was the first one I started with, and then E04 was the pencil. So let's go here. This is a beautiful color. And again, if cool tones aren't your thing, imagine pairing this with just a nice sort of rosy nude. Like that could just look beautiful. This is all I need. Done. Look done. Just wipe that brush off a little bit on my pants. Again, super soft. I'm going to pick up Exquisite. I'm just going to see how these shimmers lay down. They can be a little bit flaky sometimes. So let's see if they laid... if you want it to be really bold, I'd recommend using your finger to pick up the product like that. Just tap it on the lid and then use a brush to blend it out. Like that's probably the most efficient way to build it up. But the good thing is that if you do have a brush and you want it a bit lighter, again, you can see that even this Exquisite one, which is sort of the one with a bit of a base color, works beautifully as a topper over these other colors. So it just looks so special. I don't know if you can see, but on the side, I'm getting more like a little bit of a purple. Just to see the difference in finishes, I'm just going to put some of Expensive, which is that first color, just here. See what I mean by it's a little, they can be a little bit flaky, but this is more of a purple. Just going to go a little bit more in with that grey to just intensify that, because I think I'm going to keep just the bottom grey. I was going to put some blue there as well, but I think I'm going to be overloaded with blue. The difference between the two shades, I'm definitely getting more purple sheen from in here compared to there. So it gives a different effect. And this does have a bit of a base color to it. This is like translucent just with a sheen. So in some lights you don't see it, and then you catch the light and you do see it. So it's a little bit more color shifty. I've got the navy on the angle brush, which is E06, and I'm just going to use this as sort of a blended out liner-ish. And I do love that their eyeshadows are pigmented enough that you can use them as a liner if you wish. Okay, these all performed really nicely. I think my favorite color on this row is actually that denim blue, because I don't think I have much of that. People often go really bright blue or like wishy-washy. This is like the perfect, there's something about it. I'm like, it's so good. So I think that's actually my favorite, and I'd totally put that with browns just like any day of the week, or like a champagne. I'm going to go away and do a bit more mascara and then be back. I just also want to highlight these brushes. I don't know the price of them. I would buy another set. I kind of feel like I need to update my brushes anyway because they're getting all like old and funky. These are stunning. They're so nice to use. This is going to be a good week. I'm excited. All right, that's the blue look a little bit more completed. I just put some blue liner on my waterline and tightline a little bit, and then built up my mascara. And that's it zoomed out so you can see what the blue looks like with the rest of the makeup. I'm glad I kept things quite nude. So far, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this week. So stay tuned for more looks and wait until the end for my full conclusion of the palette. Okay, so I've been wearing this palette for the past week, and I'm ready to show you my looks and also conclude what I think about it overall. The look I'm wearing today is the bottom row. So I've that bottom row there, I've used every shade in it. I have to say, I really love this shade. I think that's my favorite transition shade out of the whole palette because it's actually the warmest. You can see, like, this is quite a little bit pastel light looking on me. This is definitely more my tone. So I use that quite heavily in the crease just to warm it up a little bit. I use the black as a liner. It works really beautifully. It's a really pigmented black. I did use a little bit of this just blended in the outer corner. So there's a little bit of twinkle there, but then I layered it over the top with this because it was getting a bit dark. So that one is sort of, it looks very, very blue-gray, but it's a mix of this and that one sort of layered. On the lower lash line, I put just this, which looks like a bit of a shadow, which I really like. And then I popped this shimmery white twinkly shade on the inner corner. Now this one could definitely be a topper. I was tempted to put it like on the inner portion, but I quite like this color story with matte. Throughout the week, I also did a green look, so a look using all of this. I also found that this shade here is very much like MAC Blue Brown Pigment, which is totally fine. Sort of a classic color. This is a little bit more of a twinkly version, but it's surprisingly dark. So when you do put it on, it does have quite a dark base to it. So it gives this sort of like brown, warm, smoky look underneath, which I thought was interesting. I like this row because it's just sort of a neutral row. My favorite shade is probably this one here. This shade is very much like the one I've got in my inner corner that I mentioned, but it's got like a gray base to it. So it's a little bit deeper in color. It's more of like, instead of it being like a silvery white, it's more like a slate gray. And I liked using this sort of blended out because I just did it with my finger, and you can get this beautiful twinkly look with a bit of a grey base to it. Really, really pretty. I also did a look where I used the top row. I didn't use it all. I think I mainly used the mattes and I think this sort of transformer shade. And then I used this as a liner, which I thought was really pretty as well. So they do mix and match really nicely. So overall, I think this is a really pretty palette. I think it works really nicely. Like it functions really nicely. The formula is really, really beautiful. I think the only problem I had with the formula was that I noticed that, especially with the shimmers, because they are so intense and I've got hooded eyes, I'd often find a little bit of transfer. That's my face, I suppose. If you don't like glitter fallout, you can just wear these a lot more carefully. I sort of slap a lot of them on, and some of them had a little bit of glitter fallout. But if you are a little bit more strategic with them, so for example, using a sticky base, using your fingers to pat it on before you blend it, things like that, you can avoid some of the glitter fallout, but essentially glittery shades are going to be glittery. It is what it is. From an objective point of view, I think it's a really beautiful, cool toned palette. I think it also does pair really nicely with past palettes in the range. There is, like, every single shade in here is a new shade, but there is some overlap. So for example, and it makes sense because they put in a lot of these neutral shades a lot of the time. But for example, with their newest Nearly Natural palette, there is a black and a shimmery black. They are different. I might swatch them so you can see the difference. But a matte black is going to be a matte black. Like, yeah, I think it's very needed in both palettes, so I'm not criticizing that. But just be aware that when you do delve into sort of neutral territory, these aren't repeat shades, but they might look quite similar. So let's just have a look. All right, this is slightly interesting. So we have Nearly Natural, which you can see it's more of a warmer shimmer. So instead of it being like a silver shimmer, it's more of, yeah, just slightly more warm, which I actually prefer this. So I go for more neutral colors. So this looks like it's more wearable for me. They both have a black base, but you can see the shimmer is slightly different. This is a bit more reflective as well. And then this is from the Nearly Natural, and this is from the Timeless Tones. Again, I feel like this is slightly warmer and this is slightly more true black. So besides the color story not really suiting me, again, fine. My only real, not criticism, but thing I wanted to note about this palette, that it's again, it's a personal thing, but one thing I realized I don't particularly love is when there are quite a lot of transformer shades. So they look cool, they look interesting. So these just look kind of white at the moment, but this one does look, they do sort of transform different colors. Now, the reason why I understand why they put them in there, because you can obviously transform the look quite easily. And like, it makes sense, you know, it looks very effective over black. But the thing that I realized creating these looks that I struggle with when it comes to topper sort of color shifting shades, and this is not exclusive to this, it's also an experience that I had with this palette, which is the Barely Basic, which is a palette that I really love. The top row is toppers. It completely changes the color story, and it goes against the color story, if that makes sense. So for example, I was using yesterday this color story, and I used this shade on the lower lash line, and it looks very sort of pinky purple reflective. And then there was part of me going, oh, I wish I had a mauve, because it'd be really cool to sort of work a mauve into this to sort of complement it. And I didn't have any mauves because this isn't the Colour Story mauve, which I understand why. I think mauve would have gone nice in this, but they have sort of put a lot of mauve shades in other palettes recently. So if you want a more purpley mauvey row, there's plenty here. Even in like if you want mauve, there's plenty of other palettes that have a lot of purple in it. So I understand why they didn't go there. But when you do have shifts that go quite sort of yellow, quite pinky purple, this is against the Colour Story. Like you're actually going out of the Colour Story, and it's, for me, making it a little bit more jarring. I think keeping this within the cool colour spectrum, including the shifty shades, makes it a little bit more cohesive. I just found that whenever I was delving into the shifty topper shades, it sort of threw me off into a different vibe, which I didn't really want to go into because I wanted to stay here. So I think that's my problem with colour shifty shades, and I think I had that experience before, but I didn't really understand why I didn't like it. But it was quite evident here because everything is cool, and then all of a sudden you put this one on and it goes really gold, and you're like, hang on, I didn't want to go yellow. I wanted to go green. That goes a little bit with this shade too, because it's got such like a rich sort of burgundy brown base, which is actually quite a warm shade, that again, instantly it takes you out of this cool Colour Story and takes you into something that you can't really work well with because there's no other options in this palette. But I understand that like shifty shades are fun. It can add sort of dimension and differences and whatnot. But if you really truly love cool tones, you would probably not really use some of these because they do go a little bit warm. They change the look a little bit warm. But what I do love about this palette is you can create so many different looks without having to reach for another palette. So you've got your nudes here. You obviously have green, you have your blue, you have your sort of more traditional. So you can create smoky looks, you can create very classic looks. So there's everything you sort of need. But what is good about it, it also pairs really nicely with past palettes. So the format works really well with this one. It's got the interesting shimmers, it's got the topper shades, and then it's got like the 3 levels of color depth, which works really nicely with that. So that completes it a bit. So that's the Barely Basic palette, but I also thought that it'd work really nicely with the Pretty and Pastel. So often I'd reach for one of these colors and I'd go, oh, this would actually go really nicely with one of the shades in this pastel palette. So this one would work really nicely with it. Ultimately, I think if you had the more recent Nearly Natural palette, yes, of course, the blacks are sort of double up slightly, but I think that Colour Story, like that is like a comprehensive every occasion palette for me. So I think that's a really cool one. And I would reach for some of these cooler shades, blend them out with some of the warmer ones, use some of the warmer shimmers, blend it out with some of the cooler ones. So it does stand alone, but if you have other palettes in the range, it can complement them as well. It doesn't really fight it. It doesn't really, it's not redundant. It sort of complements depending on what your preferences are. So I think this is a really smart palette. So that's the palette, but I do want to say this brush set, I love. This brush set, I feel like it's the star of this release, simply because, again, that palette Colour Story isn't necessarily my perfect Colour Story, but these brushes are so good. They perform really beautifully. They're really nice and soft. They apply the product really nicely. You pretty much have everything you need to create an eye look. It makes a lot of sense for them to release this because they're most well known for eyeshadows. If you were in the market for new brushes, I would say this brush pack is like almost a must-have. My only request is it comes with the bag, but I would love to see a version that doesn't come with a bag that's a little bit cheaper, because people like me, like I don't travel often, but I keep my brushes in like a cup. And if I wanted to buy another set of brushes, I don't want 2 bags. So that's my only request. But otherwise, I'll have like pricing details and stuff in the description box, and I'll have links to where you buy these. They're releasing this weekend. So I think this video is going to be up on the Saturday morning in Australia time, Friday evening in US time. It is releasing the next day. I do have a discount code, so if you want 10% off your order, it could be anything you order, it's CAT, so KAT. this is, if you're into brushes and you want new brushes, these are beautiful, just gonna say. All right, that was a fun review. Let me know what you think about this palette. Are you really into cool tones? Are you glad to see some new sort of cooler toned options? Because I know that's something that a lot of people ask for. A big thank you to the Glaminatrix team for sending this out. It was quite a surprise. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even see any hints of it. And I was like, oh my God, what is this palette? And a huge thank you to my members for supporting this channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.